defense, I didn't quite understand the concern with 11-year-old boy hands back then, but I have 11-year-old boys now, so I totally get it. Anyway, there she was telling me to stay back, and there I was thinking I'm definitely not going to stay back. And there's Jared in the middle, just sitting there in his car seat. But he wasn't sleeping. He was looking right at me. I know he was only like 2 days old, but you're just gonna have to trust me that he definitely gave me that look, like, do it, man. He was saying do it. He was telling you, he was. So anyway, I immediately thought that Jared was very cool. That was my first memory of Jared, and I think deep down I knew that day that I wasn't just meeting my brother. I was also meeting one of the best friends that I will ever have. My favorite thing about Jared as a kid is probably the same thing that is my favorite thing about Jared today. He really has an infinite ability to just see the good in the people that he loves. I remember going through my typical angsty teenage years, like many of us have or currently are. And anytime everyone saw me, they would lecture me about being a bad student or a troublemaker or lazy or whatnot, but not Jared. 4-year-old Jared was the only person in my life at that time who, even when I wasn't really being my best self, he still only saw the very best of me and treated me like I was an amazing person. And I will tell you, when you're feeling down or insecure, being with a person like that is magical. And that's what it was like to have Jared as my brother. When I was 16, my 4-year-old brother Jared was my absolute favorite person to hang out with in the entire world. And I spent as much time with him as I could. Jared's superpower has always been his ability to see the best in us, even when we are at our worst. It wasn't until Jared was a teenager that I realized what his second superpower was. Jared never quits in his dreams, no matter how high the odds are against him. When he was still way too young, he moved out of the house and started his own life earlier than anyone else I had ever known. We all thought, this isn't going to last 2 weeks. But 2 weeks went by and we thought, all right, but let's see if he can even pay rent at the end of the month. And then a month went by, and then 2 months, and then a year. And now it's been 15 years, and Jared never came home. He never quit, he never gave up. Instead, he stayed, and he built a life. And then he built a home, and then he built a family. I have no idea how he managed through those first few years, but I can only imagine that they weren't easy. He worked endlessly, paid rent, put food on his table, and built himself up from nothing by sheer determination and refusal to give up. And that resilience, that's such a core part of who Jared is today. Jared simply does not give up. So when Jared came to me after 9 years of dating Vik and told me they were getting married, I wasn't surprised. Because it's Jared, and he doesn't give up. I don't know how long this has been his dream, but I'm not at all shocked to see him sitting next to her today at this wedding. Jared is equal parts dreamer and grinder. And with that combination, he can achieve anything, even something as spectacular as Vik. The first time I met Vik, I remember being so incredibly depressed. We were having a family cookout, and our family is loud and boisterous and chaotic. We have a ton of kids, and it's not for everyone. We're a fun group once you get to know us, but it can be a lot for newcomers coming into our environment. And into this chaos strolls Vik. With a crate of yoga equipment and kindness glowing in her eyes, she just took one look at all of those children and said, "Who wants to go outside and do yoga with me?" And a room full of children went poof. And they were all gone outside playing with her for the rest of the day. In our sunny backyard for the whole afternoon. She was so poised and unfazed by our chaos. And she was so interesting and fun to be around. Like my first time meeting Jared, I immediately thought, man, Vik is cool. That day was almost a decade ago, and these kids were just kids themselves back then. It's not surprising to me that they've built such a strong, formidable relationship. They grew up together, faced countless challenges together, had each other's backs through all of it. They failed together, they succeeded together, they cried together, they celebrated together, and they grew together as individuals, as a couple, and as a family. All of it together. What none of us could have possibly seen in those early years is how perfectly they complement each other, how their unique superpowers work together to build something incredibly strong that neither of them could have built on their own. This family, this love. They both bring important strengths to this relationship, and together they've built something truly beautiful. So let's raise our glasses to Vik and Jared and the beautiful life they've built together. Vik, welcome to the family, kiddo. You're part of our beautiful chaos. Couldn't be happier to have you. I love you. We all love you. And we can't wait to see what you three builds together from here. Here's to a lifetime of happiness together for you. Cheers.
Cheers.